Look at this. It is officially Chilean guava time. Look at these berries. They are big and bright red, and they are ready. I have been picking them. I'm quite impatient, and I always find the best way to test for ripeness is by tasting them. And so I've eaten a few that tasted quite herby, but that's a few weeks ago now, and they have been slowly plumping up more than ever. They're doing so well this year. They obviously like the rain. The thing with them is they don't like to dry out, and so it has rained and rained and rained, and of course they're in quite a small container. Look down here, for the size of this huge enormous plant that's just spreading out all over. So I am going to repot it as soon as I finish picking all the berries. I'll get that one into a much bigger one. I'm sure it's pot bound. It was last year already when I repotted it, and I could have done with a bigger size pot, but it is doing so well. I do feed it with seaweed fertilizer every week just to keep it going. But just look at these, and they're so big. And you can sort of, when you want to test if they're ripe, you sort of feel them, and they have a little bit of give to them, so they're not as rock hard as they otherwise are. And you can really smell the strawberry fragrance, because now it is quite sunny. Well, it's not quite, at the moment it's a little bit overcast, but the sun keeps on coming in and out, and as the sun hits them, the smell just envelops the whole garden. Just this really sweet, sweet strawberry fragrance. So good. So this one here is called Bella Berry. You can tell why. They are stunning. I think they're a little bit darker red than other cultivars. If we have a few different ones here. So this is the variegated one. It's called Flambeau. And these berries are a little bit smaller than Bella Berry. Look, you can see them here. They're also a little bit camouflaged, not as flamboyant. But yeah, these ones, I think they might be ripe. They tend to ripen a little bit later, and they're still little hard nuggets, so they're not quite ripe yet. But they turn a little bit more, actually almost translucent when they're ripe. I've got a few of these plants. This one's not doing as well because it was stuck. It's actually stuck over there in that little space there, and I moved it out now that I've moved some plants around. And also because I had my citrus trees out here, they're taking up some space, but now that they're in the house, there's more space for these guys. But some of these are, like these two plants here, are both cuttings from the mother plant. The mother plant is in desperate need of a repotting too, so that's going to happen this year too. I think I'm going to move that pink pot, move that plant there onto the green one. I tend to put this one into a giant one and then just sort of move the other pots along, shuffle them along down the production line. But you can see this one has quite a few berries for its small size. They're usually quite good croppers too, but their berries do anyhow tend to be smaller than Bella Berry. Bella Berry is actually not supposed to be the largest cultivar, but they are big. And the largest cultivar of these particular kinds of plants are meant to be this one here. This is called Kapow. Now my Kapow is actually suffering a bit. It was in the ground and it was not happy. It got hit by cold winds, also got frosted a few times, so we had lots of dieback. And then we had some builders over and they actually stepped on it and crushed it. So I dug it up from the ground. It was in the ground. I've got lots of support here. This, for example, this branch here is just a support branch, as is this one. So it's just got some supportive. All these bare branches are not actually part of the plant, they're just sort of support. So, because he was quite a damaged plant, but he's really recovering nicely. See how large he is. I step back a bit. So he is doing well, and he's actually putting out some nice fruit. But you can see they're not quite ripe yet at all either. No, they're still too hard. And also they're kind of a different color. But look here, we got some that are almost a decent size. But again, they're still smaller than the Bella Berry. So it's interesting to see how well the Bella Berry is doing. It's just been outside the whole time, but it obviously loves this spot. This is the kind of spot that's perfect for them because it has that white wall there, which sort of takes all the heat and just keeps radiating it out during the night. And then also during the winter in particular, it shelters it from the winds. It's a little sheltered courtyard, which is really good for them, but it does mean there's no soil, so I have to keep them in pots. But Look at these berries. Oh my goodness. If I pick one, then we can also just have a look at the inside of them. That's always fun to do. Let's get a few of these guys here. They're a really decent size too. I'll take them inside quickly. But they're really like the size of a, maybe tiny bit larger than a blueberry. Like a, you know, a regular sized blueberry. A high bush blueberry, if you will. Oh, I'm just smelling them. That smell is so good. I wish I could let you know how good it smells or show you the smell. Okay, let's go and cut some open too. Have a little look. So here it is, cut through. As you can see, there are lots of little seeds inside there. I think they grow quite easily from seed, but I've never tried it because I find they grow super easy from cuttings as well. I have tons of cuttings. I need to repot as well and move on because I really want to grow a little Chilean guava hedge so I could like have an edible hedge. I just don't really have a spot for it that would be out of the wind. So it can't go into the ground, but either way, you can't have too many of these. They're also great to give as gifts, and they're just so good. They actually were said to be Queen Victoria's favorite berry, and I can definitely see why, because I think back then the Victorians were really adventurous, and they went out on lots of plant expeditions to foreign countries, and they would bring them back. And so obviously she had these, and she grew them down in Cornwall, and then, well, her gardeners did anyhow, and then she would have them shipped over to London to her palaces to eat and feast on. And I honestly can't blame her. They are so, so delicious. They're just like little sweets, little bombs of sweetness that have such a tropical flavor to them. They've got a little bit of citrus there, sort of acidity there. And then they also have the absolute sweetness of strawberry and a bit of pineapple too. And then sometimes if you see those little green bits there, that can taste a little bit herby, but it's not a very strong flavor. And sometimes my kids, they just don't eat the little green bits. So they only get the sweetness, so you can just do that. It's almost like a strawberry. You can also eat the green bits on the strawberry, but you have to take them off, so it's up to you. Same kind of thing, and these ones are a little bit less intrusive than the actual green bits on the strawberry. So yeah, just an absolute delight. I can't recommend these enough. And if you do grow them in a pot, they're so easy. I find they grow better in pots, so that's just my personal opinion. But it could be if you have a good, nice, sheltered garden anyhow, they'd also grow great in a sunny spot. The only thing is, don't let them dry out. If they dry out, they really suffer. So the main thing is to keep them moist at all times. I know that whenever you buy them, it says that they want well-draining soil, but I find that even having them sitting in water, I had actually where I experimented without realizing I was experimenting. I had a flambeau, the variegated cultivar there, and it was sat in an underpot. I didn't realize that, and I kept on watering it, and when I finally lifted it out, it had so many roots, and it was just doing so well. It was lush and full of berries. And then I hadn't watered at that point. It was actually the one that's doing really well now, the Bella berry. I hadn't watered it as much, and it was suffering more. So this is a few years ago. And since then I've realized I have to keep them watered. So I water them every single day, come rain or shine, especially because they're in pots. They often dry out faster. But yeah, that's just a bit about my Chilean guavas. I also feed them weekly, as I said, with a seaweed feed. Super important to keep them fed, especially when they're in pots again. So, oh yeah, I just can't recommend these enough. They're so wonderful. So, thank you for watching. Hope you found this a bit interesting. Let me know your thoughts on it. I'm also growing a few other cultivars, but they're still very small. I think they were grown from seed. I bought them in a company called Jurassic Plants, I think they're called. Jurassic Plants. And they do little small plants that are grown directly from seed. So they take a while to grow on. And of course, they're not like specially made cultivars that are grown specifically for their big fruits and things like that. But you still get a fun variety, and that's what's nice to do. It's when to grow. I like growing lots of cultivars of the same fruit because there's so many different nuances and flavors and flavor profiles. It's so much fun. So yeah, great. But let me know what you think, your thoughts on the matter, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.